সুপ্রিয় দর্শক সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি টিভি24 টেলিভিশন আয়োজিত নিয়মিত অনুষ্ঠান টিভি অ্যানালিসিস। আমি হাবিব রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে। আজকের অনুষ্ঠানটি অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বেশ কয়েকটি কারণে। একটি হচ্ছে এসবিএ লোনের কারণে, একটি হচ্ছে ট্যাক্সেশনের সাথে এর সম্পর্ক কি, যারা রিয়েল এস্টেটে আছেন অথবা বাড়ি ক্রয় করার জন্য চিন্তা করছেন অথবা সাইডলাইনে আছেন অথবা কিনে ফেলেছেন তাদের জন্য সুখবর আছে, যারা কিনেননি তাদের জন্য সুখবর আছে। বাড়ির রিয়েল এস্টেট প্রাইস যেমন কিছুটা কমেছে, তার সাথে সাথে ইন্টারেস্ট রেট এখন যদি আপনার সব কিছু ঠিক থাকে এবং ঠিকভাবে সাবমিট করেন আপনি পেতে পারেন 5% ইন্টারেস্ট রেট। এবং এটা যারা নতুন বাড়ি কিনবেন তাদের জন্য যেরকম গুরুত্বপূর্ণ, যারা রিফাইন্যান্স করবেন তাদের জন্য এটি অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। আরেকটি ব্যাপার হচ্ছে হোম কেয়ার ব্যাপারে কিছুটা ছোট্ট করে আলোচনা করব, কারণ একটু কনফিউশন তৈরি হয়েছে। বেশ কিছু অনুষ্ঠান আমরা করেছি এখান থেকে আমি কিছু ইনফরমেশন নিয়েছি, তার ভিত্তিতে বেশ কয়েকটি প্রশ্নের উত্তর থাকবে। এবং শেষে যেটি আসল একটি ব্যাপার থাকবে সেটি হচ্ছে এসবিএ লোন নেওয়ার সাথে সাথে যারা নিয়েছেন তাদের মর্টগেজ রেটে এখন এফেক্ট পড়তে পারে বা পড়বে বলে মনে করা হচ্ছে, কেন, এবং এটির বিস্তারিত তথ্য তুলে ধরবো। এবং এই সমস্ত বিষয়ে আলোচনা করার জন্য আজ আমার সাথে স্টুডিওতে আছেন মাইকেল Motazedi, CPA Motazedi. Welcome.
Thank you.
Again, we have a jam-packed show, and I think we have a lot to discuss.
I agree.
And I would ask, we'll take one thing at a time and go slow, because I think there's many things here that will benefit many people.
Yeah.
Right?
The times are definitely changing. They're going in our favor, so let's
so time is changing, time is going in our favor, means buyers' favors or people's favor.
Well, it's for both, really.
Not the bank's favor. That's what I meant.
We don't care about the bank.
Oh, we don't care about the banks. That's correct. Okay, so let's start with SBA first.
Okay.
SBA payments. Is there anything new? What is happening? We are getting this mixed information from everywhere. What is really happening?
So, as we discussed before, we got the basically the 2 years of hardship, right? So, for argument's sake, let's assume my payment's $100, right?
Yeah.
So right now you can take the first 6 months and you'll have to actually pay $25.
Yeah.
Because that's the minimum payment.
Correct.
Right? So basically it's 10%.
If you have taken that advantage.
Correct. Actually, let's use $1,000. So we don't have to worry about that, right?
Good.
So then your payment's going to be $100 for the first 6 months. Then you have to actually renew it. It's not going to automatically happen, right? You have to renew it for another 6 months.
Okay. So after 6 months, renew it. Otherwise, it's gone.
Correct. Then it's going to go to the normal $1,000 payment, right?
Good.
So you got 6 months, that's a year. This is where things are changing, okay? Because the next 6 months, it's actually 50%. So my payment went from $100 now to $500.
$500.
Correct.
Okay.
50% of the payment. The last 6 months of that 2 years is 75%. So what's that payment?
So it's
$750.
Incrementally going up.
Correct.
Okay, but still there's a good chance that you can lower it. If you have not, the people who did not do it for the first time, when they submit it, will it be counted as the first time for them?
Yeah, so anyone who hasn't done it can do it. And what we've been seeing is a lot of people over 200,000, right? Those are the people who are actually having a hard time. They think they can't do it just because they can't do it on the portal.
Okay, so let me
I've done it for lots of people already. What you guys need to do is we have to put together a profit and loss. We have to log into the portal, ask for hardship. You guys will get it.
Okay, so the first 6 months is 10%, and then it's 50%, then it's 75% if you keep renewing them.
Let's say the first year is 10%.
Okay, so just too easy to understand.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So let me just break down to everybody else. আপনারা যারা দেখছেন অনুষ্ঠানটি, আপনি যদি এসবিআই লোন থেকে থাকে, আমরা ধরে নেই আপনার লোনটি $200,000, $2 লক্ষ। আপনি যদি এখন একটি সাবমিট করেন এই অ্যাপ্লিকেশনটা, তাহলে আপনি দিবেন আগামী 6 মাস 10% দিবেন। So $200,000 payment normally is how much?
No, when it's above 200,000, you can't just get hardship like that.
Right.
You have to actually do it's a small application. It's very simple, and they have to do a profit and loss.
Yeah.
And you have to submit it to the SBA. It takes like 3 days.
Yeah.
And they're going to do exactly the same thing we were talking about before.
So we would say if you had $200,000 loan, your payment right now is somewhere in $800, give or take.
More than that.
More than that, I'm just saying $900 or something, $1,000. So let's say, ধরুন আপনার $2 লাখ লোন আছে এসবিআই কাছে, আপনার পেমেন্ট $1,000 কাছাকাছি হবে, $1,000 give or take. আপনি যদি অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেন, এখন আপনার অ্যাপ্লিকেশনটা যদি অ্যাকসেপ্টেড হয়ে যায়, আপনি অনলি 10% পে করবেন। এখন আপনার কাছে প্রশ্ন হতে পারে, why should I do it? You should do it কারণ এটা হচ্ছে সবচেয়ে lowest interest rate. It's a 2.75%.
3.75.
3.75%. So এই লম্বা সময় যদি আপনি রাখেন এটি অন্যান্য ইন্টারেস্ট রেট অনেক হাই, সো দ্যাটস ওয়ান থিং। এটি আপনি রিনিউ করতে পারেন আফটার 6 মান্থস, তারপরেও আপনি 6 মান্থস রিনিউ করতে পারেন। এটি হচ্ছে আসল জিনিস এবং এটি করা উচিত। নাও আই হ্যাভ অ্যানাদার কোয়েশ্চেন বেসড অন,
Well, let me jump into
Sure.
also with the SBA payments, right? You have to be incredibly on top of it. You have to know when to renew. So you have to be when you do the first renewal, it'll tell you when the next date is. In that month, you have to renew.
ওকে, সো দ্যাট মিনস আপনারা যখন প্রথমটা করবেন আপনাকে খুব খেয়াল রাখতে হবে পরবর্তী রিনিউয়ের সময় আপনাকে 1 মাস আগে একটি চিঠি পাঠানো হবে। ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ টু বি অন লুক আউট, আপনাকে এটা খেয়াল রাখতে হবে, অ্যান্ড আপনাকে ওই সময়ের মধ্যেই সাবমিট করতে হবে অ্যাপ্লিকেশন। ইউ হ্যাভ টু সাবমিট দ্যাট উইথিন দ্যাট টাইম দে
Yeah, I mean, you can do it again. It's just that you don't want to miss a payment. Now that payment's 1,000 and the next one's.
Yeah. So
you don't want to do that.
Right. So that's that. Now, what happens if you miss a payment? I'm going to give you a few scenarios.
Sure.
Let's say you missed a payment, you just noticed it because you got an email saying your payment went through, did not go through, right? That's one scenario within 24 hours or 2 or 3 days. Or you just noticed a month later, right? 2 scenarios. A month later, you're 30 days behind.
They're going to be the same answer. That's not something to worry about.
Why not?
Okay? It's when it's 4 months later.
Okay.
Is where you have to worry, and the SBA is going to call you every single day.
Yeah, like IRS. Well, IRS don't call you.
We're going to go to that next.
We'll talk. Okay, so what happens?
So basically what happens is if they don't think you're going to make this payment, they will move it to the Treasury Department. Now, what's the Treasury Department? The same thing as IRS. So that's where the problem lies.
Right.
So everyone loves getting those tax refunds. You guys won't get it if you're not paying that SBA loan.
I need to translate this because the implication is huge.
Yes.
Okay. So আপনারা যারা SBA লোন সময় মতো দিয়ে আসছেন, ধরে নিন কোন একটি পেমেন্ট মিস করেছেন, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই, কিন্তু এই পেমেন্ট যদি মিস করতে আপনি পরপর 4টি মিস করে ফেলেন, 4 মাস হয়ে যায়, তখন তারা এটি পাঠিয়ে দেয় IRS এর ট্রেজারি ডিপার্টমেন্টে। এটির এফেক্টই পড়বে আপনি পরবর্তীতে যখন ট্যাক্স ফাইল করবেন তখন। So what happens then?
So any type of refund you get obviously is going to go to your SBA payment. Now, there are ways to get it back out of the Treasury and back into the SBA's hands.
And
so I would tell you we're successful about 80% of the time.
Okay, 80% of the time. But that is fixable if they sit down.
It's fixable, it takes work, and it's really important we do it.
Okay, perfect. Now, since we are in taxation, even though there is no real connection between SBA and taxation, but there is connection. Okay, yes.
There is a connection.
Okay.
We've
please explain.
Touched on before. So when you're in hardship, right, you're not making your full payment, but all of its interest, and all that interest is tax deductible on your Schedule C or whatever business you have. Okay, it's a huge. Imagine you started making all those payments, right? I mean, you have to pay taxes.
Okay, so let's bring an example. If you could just so that everybody understands. Let's
easy,
take $100,000,
right?
Yeah, so.
Right. So you have what, $3,750
Right.
every year. That's just it's like extra gas, it's an extra write-off.
So those $3,375 will be subtracted
from your taxable income. That's before tax.
Okay.
Right. So say your taxable income before that is $50,000, right? So it's $50,000 minus $3,750,
right.
And that's what you're going to pay taxes on.
Okay.
It's super important. It's not just the tax rate; it's also self-employment taxes.
People who are gig workers,
correct.
taxis.
Anybody who's on 1099 is going to pay self-employment taxes.
Okay, so this also needs translation so that everybody understands. I know everybody nowadays, are good, but let me just explain so that it gets to everyone. আপনারা যারা স্পেশালি gig worker আছেন, Uber, taxi, food card, any 1099 payments যারা আছেন, আপনারা যদি SBA লোন নিয়ে থাকেন, আপনারা পে করছেন, এই মনে রাখবেন এই পেমেন্টের একটি বড় অংশ হচ্ছে ইন্টারেস্ট। এই ইন্টারেস্টটি মাইকেল মোতাজেদি যেটি বলছিলেন সেটি হচ্ছে এরকম, লেটস মেক বিলিভ যে আপনারা $1,00,000 $100,000 ইন্টারেস্ট আছে, আপনার বছর শেষে আসবে সামওয়্যার অ্যারাউন্ড $3,775 এরকম হতে পারে, বা $3,375 ধরে নিই আমরা। ওকে, এই যে লোনের অ্যামাউন্ট, এই যে ইন্টারেস্টের অ্যামাউন্টটি আছে, এটি আপনার ট্যাক্স থেকে ডিডাক্ট হয়ে যায়, মাইনাস হয়ে যায়। সো ধরুন আপনার হোম কেয়ার আছে, অনেক কিছু আছে, আপনি বা অন্যান্য ইনকাম আছে, আপনাকে 1099 থাকার পরে আপনি এমন একটি পর্যায়ে এসে পৌঁছেছেন যে আপনার মেডিকেয়ার মেডিকেইড বাতিল হয়ে যেতে পারে, কিন্তু এই 3,000 যদি মাইনাস হয়ে যায় আপনার ইনকাম থেকে, তখন কিন্তু আপনি রিলিফ হয়ে গেলেন। তো এটা মাইনাস করা সম্ভব আপনার ট্যাক্সেশনের সময় যখন আপনি ট্যাক্স ফাইল করবেন। সো মেক শিওর আপনারা এটিও খেয়াল রাখবেন। Anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just touched on it too. This could, if you made a lot of money that year, right, and you're like this close of not qualifying for Medicaid, this could make everything. This could make it happen.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I did not want to go there now, but home care came along. We are hearing a lot of things that home care is going to be impacted because it's going under one umbrella, and people are going to lose income because the hours will be reduced and whatnot, and there will be impact on the taxation also because your non-taxable income, it's home care, right?
Correct.
It's going to reduce, so other income will increase. Can you just break this down?
That's not going to be a problem.
Is this just a fear or it's a fact?
Well, two things. One, even if you make less, your taxable income is going to be the same. The question is, how much of my refund am I losing?
Yes.
Right? Because you're getting money and New York State's taking taxes, some federal is taking taxes, you usually get that back, right? So obviously if the hours go down, it's going to be an issue. But what's also going on is they're trying to make it where someone who's on home care also must do senior daycare.
Senior daycare.
Yeah, they're trying to pass that as well. So there may be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, so if not this, then that. I think maybe in the next episode we need to touch on this even.
Yeah, I mean, look, this thing is morphing as what's going on.
Okay, so it's still in progression.
It's progression because look, you got people who built their businesses this way, and then all of a sudden gone.
Yeah, it
doesn't work that way.
Right. So we'll see how things work out, but there's nothing to worry about at this point.
I just don't think you guys are going to get extra hours anymore. You guys are not going to get the rates that keep going up, right? I think that we're at that ceiling.
So what's going to happen is currently there are too many home care agencies.
There is.
And they are fighting for their expansion, which is natural and normal. And in order to do that, they are offering more and more benefits, and sometimes it's $1 increase that if you come to me.
Correct. That's the problem. But the insurance companies are going to say, hey, listen, enough's enough, right? How much higher can they go? And
right.
That's really what's been pushing it all depends on your insurance carrier.
Right. So that is going to decrease.
That is just not, I don't think that's going to grow.
Right.
I think the hours are going to stay the same.
Right.
I don't think it's going to grow. And look, this thing is people's livelihoods. Forget about the people working, right? Even the people who built these home care agencies.
Correct.
There's just too many of them in the same location.
That's a problem.
I mean, think about
among many problems.
Right? My office is on Hillside. I can tell you there's 5 in 2 block radius. In 2 block radius.
I mean, it's okay. Businesses are growing, more people are getting employed. It's okay, but the intense competition.
It's gotten very, very crazy.
Okay, but we'll touch on that on a different time. Now let's move on to one of the stickiest thing for sometimes housing.
Well, how about we do one more thing?
Yeah. What is it?
Because everyone will love this.
Sure.
We should say, what happens if I don't have that business anymore? Do I still have to pay the SBA?
I think that's a very valid question because so far what we know, and I think everybody should pay attention to this one, that regardless of what happens, the SBA loan is not forgivable. There's no way you can come out of it. Regardless of that business goes down or closes down, you are liable to pay for it. But I think you are shedding light on something.
No, you are not.
Okay, so, oh my God. Let's
no,
explain.
you are not.
Okay.
So right now, if you say, hey, listen, my business closed, right? There's a way where you're not going to have to pay that back.
Really?
Yes.
SBA loan?
Yes. We're already working on a few of them.
Give us some hints, because I know it's more technical.
Say someone was a taxi driver, right?
Right.
But now they're working in the IT sector, right? They don't have
that job.
They don't have that job.
Business.
That business is gone.
Right.
Right? They don't have it. They're not driving even a little bit Uber, Lyft, nothing. Right?
So
the SBA
and
says,
let's say he had $100,000.
Say he had $100,000.
Yeah.
Right? They say, hey, especially when we do the hardship, we say my business is closed. You say, hey, listen, this is where this is the money I have. This is what's left, and this is what you're going to settle on.
So let's make believe that I took a loan, $100,000 2 years ago, and let's make believe that I paid so far $20,000, for example. just to.
Oh, I'm saying you didn't pay anything, but you bought a car with it. You paid your credit cards down. They ask you.
And I was making payments, but now I don't drive taxi.
You don't
anymore.
drive anymore. So there's a way to make you not liable for that loan. They're going to say, okay, how much is the vehicle worth? How much money you still have left? Right? Just give it to me. It's gone. And we're working on that right now on 2, and we're pretty close.
Okay. This is breaking type of news. I mean, to be honest with you, right? So I think let me just.
But again, we don't know how this is going to morph, because they might say, okay, fine, you're not going to be liable anymore, but you may have that wonderful 1099-C.
Right, correct. Okay, so আপনারা যারা শুনছেন দেখছেন, আমরা এতদিন পর্যন্ত জানতাম যে SBA লোন কিন্তু মাফ করা সম্ভব নয়, কিন্তু মাইকেল মোতাজেদি ইজ এ সার্টিফাইড CPA, উনি বলছেন there is a way. এর বিস্তারিত জানতে হলে অবশ্যই আপনাকে তার সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে হবে, বিকজ ইট নিডস মোর ডিটেলস, ইট নিডস, কিন্তু এইটি থেকেও বের হওয়ার উপায় আছে। অ্যান্ড দিস ইজ আ বিগ নিউজ। আমি জানি অনেকে স্ট্রাগল করছেন পেমেন্ট নিয়ে। পে অ্যাটেনশন, আপনার সামনে একটি সুযোগ আসতে পারে। সো বাকিটা আপনারা তার সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন, ভালো কোনো একজন CPA-র সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন।
Again, it's not like it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, people have to be patient, but it can get done.
Okay. Again, এটি করা সম্ভব, কিন্তু এটি করতে সময় লাগে এবং আপনাকে ধৈর্য ধরতে হবে। ইজ ইট পসিবল? ইয়েস, উনি বলছেন করা সম্ভব, ডেফিনেটলি সম্ভব, করা সম্ভব, অবশ্যই করতে হলে সময় সাপেক্ষ। ইয়েস, শুড ইউ ডু ইট? ইয়েস। আপনি যদি ব্যাড সিচুয়েশনে থাকেন, আপনি হিমশিম খাচ্ছেন, পারছেন না, অথবা আপনি বিজনেস চেঞ্জ করে ফেলেছেন, আপনি এইটার জন্য কোয়ালিফাই করতে পারেন। দিস ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আপনার ইটস এ লাইফ চেঞ্জিং। আপনি মনে করেন আপনার $1 লাখ ঋণ মাফ হয়ে যাচ্ছে। It's a huge thing. Okay.
But they are going to ask where the money went.
Well,
that's the only thing. It's got to be well thought out.
Well organized, thought out. It's not just
correct.
The rabbit out of the hat.
Exactly.
Kind of
of course not.
Then you're going to be in real trouble.
That's right.
Okay. So there's a way, legitimate way. You have to organize and plan it.
Correct.
Make those paperworks and execute them and stand by it.
Yes.
Right. I honestly speaking, Michael, I think this is. We have done many shows, many breaking news. We have done many breaking information we gave people. I think this is one of the most breaking.
So I have known about this for 2 years, but I've never seen it actually get through.
Okay.
So that's why I've never announced it. It's been in the SBA loan documents.
Okay. Now that you know, have you seen anybody that were successfully able to?
Yeah, we're basically there on 2 of them.
2 of them.
Yeah, that's what I said. So hopefully, maybe next show, I'll have better news.
You know what? We will break that down in next shows. So we have two points here that we will discuss in next shows. So all this time that you knew, but you did not see it went through successfully. Correct. But now you saw 2 of them.
I always saw it in the loan documents. You know, it's like 300 pages, but I looked through because I knew there was something.
Right. So, but now
we're actually seeing success, and we're very close.
And that's why.
And then I'll be able to tell you, hey, yes, we could do it, but hey, they're going to hit you with that 1099-C, like when they brought down the medallions at $250.
I think we have to follow up this show next week and expand on this, because I think you'll be bombarded. I think we'll be bombarded with many questions. দর্শক আপনারা যারা দেখছেন, আপনার কমেন্ট থাকলে, কোশ্চেন থাকলে, এটি যখন ইউটিউবে দেখবেন, পরবর্তীতে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে, প্লিজ ask your question. So আমরা সেই প্রশ্নগুলোর জবাব দিব আগামী সপ্তাহে. Okay. If we are done on this one, I know we are not done.
Go ahead.
But for the time being, we're done.
Yes.
Let's move on to. We took care of quite a few things. SBA payments, what's happening. What happens? People misses their payments. Taxation and SBA. I thought there was not really any direct connection, but there is.
No, there's absolute direct. It's directly correlated.
Yeah. So I thought it was like interrelated,
but I will say
not so much.
that with the interest, if you're no longer doing the business, you can't write it off really.
Right. So all these things we talked about, and housing situation, and you stopped me for SBA loan forgiveness, basically. It's not forgiveness. It's something that you initiate for asking for help. So that we talked about. I'm going to go back to SBA and mortgage a little bit later, but let's start with the housing situation today.
Right.
What is going on with the current housing situation? We're getting mixed signals. It's still unaffordable. People are saying the loan interest rate, rather, going up. But you told me otherwise, so we'll discuss that. We are still saying the low inventory. And we are also, you and I were talking about a few minutes ago that there are people who are going on home buyers associations. They are on strike because it's unaffordable and inventory is low. I think I'm not sure what they're asking for and how that can get fixed. I don't see any fix.
It's not getting fixed.
Right.
That's
so
just,
what is going on?
That's just complaining. Okay, that's all that is.
Yeah, it's just a whining.
Right? It's the same thing saying, oh, why are Ferraris so expensive?
Correct.
It's not going to change.
Right.
Right? But what's going on with the inventory? What's going on in the housing market?
Right.
The housing market is getting soft. You guys all hear on the street, oh, no, it keeps going up. It's not true.
Okay, so hold that thought, because it's time for us to take a break.
Okay.
And then we come back from break, we're going to talk about the housing housing price going down. Not price, the price, selling prices gradually going down. The interest rate right now is 5% if you qualify. We'll talk about this. Eti niye kotha bolbo. And how to take advantage of that.
Correct.
This rate right now for home buyer, first-time home buyer, or refinancing people, and SBA and mortgage. Now we have a big issue that we'll talk about. নিচ্ছি ছোট্ট একটি বিরতি, আপনারা যাবেন না কোথাও। সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, বিরতির পর পুনরায় স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি টিভিএন24 আয়োজিত নিয়মিত অনুষ্ঠান টিভিএন অ্যানালিসিস। আমি হাবিব রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে, এবং আমার সাথে আছেন মাইকেল মোতাজেদি সিপিএ, এবং আপনারা সবাই দেখছেন টিভিএন অ্যানালিসিস। বিরতিতে যাওয়ার পূর্বে বলেছিলাম there is a big situation with the housing generally. So এটি আমরা কয়েকটি ক্যাটাগরিতে ভাগ করেছি। একটি হচ্ছে হাউজিং প্রাইস, একটি হচ্ছে ইন্টারেস্ট রেট, এবং আরেকটি হচ্ছে আপনি এটির সুবিধা কিভাবে নিতে পারেন, এটিরও একটি ব্রেকডাউন থাকবে। এবং আমি একটি কথা বলেছিলাম, মাইকেল মোতাজেদি will correct me for that. So let's start with the home pricing. You said before the show that the prices are coming down.
They are coming down. So you're going to see certain markets where you're bidding on a house and you just can't get it. It's out of control, right? Why is it? Because the brokers are actually putting it below market to cause this problem. Then you have other ones that are doing the right thing, and they are basically putting in the market for whatever it is, say 700. You're not paying 700, right? You can get a 680, you can put 670. There's room.
Okay, so if you were to explain this in a way, let's say 6 months ago, we were seeing the listing was going up and up.
6 months ago, it was weird, right? 6 months ago, then it was suddenly a craziness.
Right.
Now it's back down. Why?
Why?
Okay, first of all, it's the economy, right? That's number one. But the real thing is the interest rates are down. So what does that mean? More sellers are willing to sell their house because they will buy another house at a reasonable interest rate.
Okay, so what you're saying in a nutshell, the prices are coming down.
Not drastically, but there's no
down,
craziness.
Not going up anymore, and not crazy. That's one thing. The second thing is the inventory are adding up slowly but surely, because the people they want to sell because now they can buy another house at a very affordable rate.
Correct.
Not 3%,
right.
Not 2%, but 5%.
Remember we used to talk about, like, why would I trade a 3%, right, for
the
7% or 6%, right? That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's becoming normal, right? But again, everyone hears on the street, oh my God, the price is going up. It's not true. You got to look for the right deals. You know, there's sellers who are just unwilling and
don't want to budge.
They don't want to budge. They're in a, fairy tale land.
Right.
You know, it always takes like 6-7 months for when inventory increases and for sellers' expectations to change.
Okay, so your advice to the home buyers, first-time home buyers, or the second buyer for the properties, or maybe investment properties, what would be your advice to the people who are looking for a real estate house right now, especially in New York metro areas?
So look, you guys can definitely find what you're looking for, okay? And now you guys can actually afford more because interest rates are down, right?
Right.
So it's a great, for a buyer, it's great, right? And it's only going to get better. Why? Because the Fed's going to cut the rates, but right now, based on the interest rates we have, they're already factoring in a quarter-point cut.
The market.
Right. So what I'm going to tell you now is really what it is if they cut it for a quarter a point. If they do half a point, it's going to drop even further.
All right. So let's go on to interest rate. I said something, you corrected me right away. So you're going to correct me again, because people have to know the facts. What is the interest rate right now for a first-time home buyer or if somebody who wants to refinance?
Okay, so right now it's about 5.75.
5.75. It's not
correct.
crazy 6. Even last week I was looking at it 6.5.
It was never that. I've never done a loan at that
Okay,
much.
I want you to explain this to me
Look,
because
just this week I locked 5 loans in the 5s.
5 loans.
And guess what? Everybody is an Uber driver.
Yeah. So
it's not about W-2s or any of this nonsense.
So it is basically comes down to an honest broker, reliable one, giving you the right paperwork and fighting for you at the right.
Yeah, it's about being
negotiation,
strategic,
basically.
right? A lot of my clients, right? We planned this out we planned this out from January. What we're going to do, how we're going to do it. Okay?
Right.
It's all it takes. It's not, I just wake up and I want to buy a house. It's not going to happen.
No. It's not buying a shoe.
Exactly.
It's something it have to be well thought out.
Correct.
Planned. Quite a few things are involved in this. When you buy a house, what neighborhood is it? If you have kids, how good are those schools in that area? How safe do you feel in that place or in that neighborhood? Is the crime rate is very high there? Or how many police stations you have or precincts you have around there? How many hospitals you have? Do you have any college or universities? All these things, and how far are those shopping places if your wife is not driving?
But I will point out, right? A good school district, the prices are not going to change.
Yeah.
Because it's desirable, right? The ones that are
everybody wants it.
changing are the ones that don't have, as you pointed out, like maybe that's not the greatest school district, or the taxes are too high there.
Right. So that brings me to the point, and I always wondered that what is going to actually happen after a while. Upstate New York, lots of Bangladeshi community people move to
I do quite a bit of business
Albany,
in Buffalo, so yes.
Buffalo's, and where there's one other city.
Albany.
No, Albany, Buffalo. There's one other. I always forget that one.
It's in Buffalo. It's right next to Buffalo.
Yeah. It's not right next to.
I know. It starts with a C.
Yeah. I keep forgetting that. Okay, so that.
Yes.
And there's one more. It will come to me. They are moving there. One of the major reasons they moved there is because the houses are cheap. You can buy a house for $100,000 and be happy with it because
you can.
So what happens now that the home prices are coming down? Especially those prices will come down even faster.
Very fast.
Yeah, and the interest rate cuts is looming. So we know it's going to happen.
Correct.
So what happens to those places?
So as this place gets somewhat more affordable, right? That's going to be different because look, yes, the house is $150,000.
Fine.
But do you think your pay that you have here is going to be identical? It's not.
Okay. So
You think someone who can afford a $150,000 house is going to pay the same price for, say, a taxi ride or an Uber ride? Of course not.
Of course not.
So that's also what I saw was a real eye-opener for everybody.
Okay. So did you see a lot of people went there and came back down?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I did.
And their reasons were?
Because of that, exactly what I said. They thought the pay would be identical.
Right.
But it's not.
Right. So people who are still...
People didn't do their research and they just jumped.
Yeah. Blindly follow it.
Correct.
Right. So people who are still thinking of that, what would be your suggestions
My
to them?
suggestion is if you're kind of on the fence, why don't you go there, buy, say, a 2-family house there, rent it out, or live in it, but at least you have that option.
Right. Okay.
Think of it as an investment property.
That's about it. Because I
The
found
market is about 30% overbought over there.
right now. So you
It used to be
basically
like 36 with
you paid about 30-40% more than what you should have compared to 5 years ago.
Correct.
Yeah. So you,
I mean, those houses used to be like $40,000.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I had offer. It's like take this house, $45,000, and this is in Buffalo, and then I went back a few years ago, and a guy bought it for $175,000.
It's insane. Even in Albany, I saw a house many years ago for $90,000. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what made sense back then.
I did not buy a property in Kingston, upstate, 217, and this is I'm talking about 2004, 2005, around that time.
That was not a good area back then.
Now I regret. So things change.
Why? Because of what happened with COVID, everything changed.
Yeah, everything. That property right now is close to $1 million. You know, I would not, even if
right on the
you paid
water.
me, I would not be in Kingston.
It was right on the water.
Of course.
That's the point.
Yeah. So I would not live there. Ever. But now...
Look, nobody could predict this, okay?
But so, housing, you really can't tell. But you have, if you're patient, and if you're jumping the bandwagon, then you should be okay.
But you guys have to also realize one thing. As the economy weakens, right, interest rates are going to go down even further. But also your pay will suffer
also
also.
decrease.
So you guys got to be a little bit on the fence. Now, people who have a very stable job or for City of New York or some
good.
state, you're fine.
You're fine because it's a city
You're
or
gonna
state
be able to
jobs.
do it. Exactly.
There's nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
But overall, the wage growth will stop.
Oh, yeah.
In regular regular jobs and stuff. And even though the feds tell you the GDP is growing, the economy is booming, go out on the street. That's not what you're going to see.
No, you're not.
That's very stark difference between them. The reports and the reality.
Correct. And look, anybody who's trying to get a mortgage now, so you go to some loan officer says, hey, it's 6%, 6.5%, just walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away, come see me.
প্লিজ মাইকেল মোতাজেদি এখন যেটা বললেন যে আপনাকে কেউ যদি বলে যে আপনার লোন আমি অ্যাপ্রুভ করে দিব 6%, 6.5%, ডোন্ট ডু ইট।
No.
ইটস নট ওয়ার্থ ইট, কারণ 5.70 এখন পাওয়া সম্ভব আপনার পক্ষে। 5টি লোন উনি রিসেন্টলি ক্লোজ করেছেন।
Correct. Even no doc loans are at 7.
No doc.
Yes.
Meaning if you put down 20% and no documentation required, it's 7%.
Exactly.
Okay. That brings me to a next point, which is what should the people who bought 6 months ago at a very high rate, like 8%, 7%, their broker were bad, their loan officers were bad, they're all crooked, bad guys. And I'm really talking to most of you people who are in real estate, did this to your client, I am talking to you, okay? Now, those people...
You're going to ask me, hey, should I refinance or wait?
Yes.
That's what you're going to ask me. Look, most of those people had like 9, 11% interest rate.
Right.
Now I would refinance because guess what? At least it'll alleviate some burden, right? And you can guess what? Even if 7 months later and it goes down even further, you can do it again.
Okay, so you're telling the people who are waiting for refinancing, they should refinance now, and they could refinance again after 6 months.
They could,
and if they're at 9%, 11%, they can bring it down to 6%.
Yeah,
It's possible.
It's definitely possible.
Definitely possible.
Definitely possible. It all depends on what they do, right? And it all depends on, look, if you're self-employed, it's going to matter taxes, right? If you got home care, W-2, city job, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That brings us to our last topic today. Remember, next week we're covering more on 2 topics that we talked about, and I think we need to do it because this is
Yes, exactly. Let me get full clarity.
Yeah,
Let me get
of course,
the
of course.
success, and then...
The SBA loan and how to get rid of it. Basically, that's what it's not forgiveness, how to get rid of it. I would just
same
word
thing
it
with
that
the
way.
interest. It's not
how
refund,
to not
okay?
get the how to lower it, playing by the rules.
Correct.
Basically, that's what it is. You said something that caught my attention in the beginning of the show. SBA and mortgage, they are now will be impacted on the mortgage bearer.
Correct.
What does that mean?
So it doesn't go in your credit report, but if they see the payments in your bank statement that you're showing the 2 months, they will add it back on, and that may disqualify you for the loan. So there's 2
Which
ways.
loan? The mortgage
The
loan.
mortgage loan.
Okay, so people who have SBA loans,
Correct.
and they're going to buy a house,
right?
They're about to submit the application. Start there.
Okay, so there's 2 ways to get around this, right? So let's start with what happens, right? Suddenly they see a $66 payment, right? Just say easy payment.
Yeah.
They say, wait, it's not on the credit report. What is this? Then you have to provide the documents. And now they realize it's $1,000 a month. You're not getting that house. That loan's dead.
Okay, so it all comes down to liability versus
preparation.
Well, preparation is the road that you're going to take.
There's 2 options to get around this situation. And look, I saw it all last month, and we were able to do it, which was great. Okay, so let me give you the easy option. Before you guys go look for houses or buy houses, make sure the SBA loan payment comes from some other bank account that you're not going to show them, okay? Then they won't see it, there'll be no questions. Number 2. Number 2, other way is...
Sorry. Keep going.
The other way to do it is if you can show 12 payments from a business checking account, not personal, just because it has a business checking account for 12 payments, they won't count it.
I think these 2 things also needs more details because
it's actually, it sounds complicated. Yeah. It's very simple.
We will keep it simple, but I think we'll discuss again, touch on this next week.
Well, I think the best way to look at it is whoever's got SBA now, make sure the bank account is a business checking account.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Let's start with that. So আপনারা যারা নিউ হোম বায়ার আছেন, আপনার যদি SBA লোন থাকে এবং এটা সেম অ্যাকাউন্ট থেকে যাচ্ছে, যদিও এটা ক্রেডিট রিপোর্টে আসবে না, যখন মর্টগেজ লোন ব্যাংকার দেখবে যে ইউ হ্যাভ এ পেমেন্ট গোয়িং আউট দ্যাট হ্যাজ নো এক্সপ্লেনেশন, দে উইল আস্ক ইউ, আপনাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবে এটা কোথা থেকে, কিসের লোন, কিসের পেমেন্ট। আপনি যদি বলেন ও আই হ্যাভ SBA পেমেন্ট, আপনার মর্টগেজ লোন বাতিল হয়ে যেতে পারে এবং হওয়ার সম্ভাবনা খুবই বেশি। এটার কি করতে হবে, এটার ফিক্সও উনি বলে দিয়েছেন। তারপর আমরা আগামী সপ্তাহে এটিকে আরও একটু ব্যাপকভাবে টাচ করবো। I think we are at the end. You have like 1 minute if you want to give anybody any advice on all three options that you talked about: the home prices, the interest, and how to take advantage, and also what to look out next week for SBA, how to get rid of those loans.
Correct. So for next week, just give me a little more time. Let me see where we're at.
Right.
For mortgages and interest rates, look, guys, I want you guys to get the best deal. So if you don't think you're getting the best deal or some tricky stuff going on, come see me. Worst case scenario, we'll just see you side by side. Let's see what we can do and save you guys some money. Remember, it's 30 years.
Yes, it is 30
It's
years.
30 years.
It's
People
no
realize that.
joke.
Exactly.
It's a 30 years. For just if you are somewhere 30 or in your 40s or in your 50s, this is the rest of your life.
Correct.
That's what it comes down to. Okay, Michael, I really appreciate you coming here, making time, and explaining quite a complex thing in a very simple manner. We will touch on quite a few things that we discussed today next week, and I really thank you for coming down.
Of course.
We'll see you next week. I'm saying goodbye to you. Now let me say goodbye to our audiences. আপনারা যারা এতক্ষণ অনুষ্ঠানটি দেখেছেন, বেশ গুরুত্বপূর্ণ অনেকগুলো বিষয় নিয়ে আলোচনা করেছি। কয়েকটি বিষয় আগামী সপ্তাহে আবার টাচ করতে হবে, পুনরায় টাচ করতে হবে, কারণ এটি ব্যাখ্যার দরকার আছে। আমি আশা করি এই ইনফরমেশনগুলো আপনাদের কাজে লাগবে এবং এটির প্রশ্ন থাকলে আপনারা কমেন্টে জানাবেন। মাইকেল মোতাজেদির সাথে আপনারা যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন বা যে কোনো একজন ভালো সিপিএর সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন। এই অনেকগুলি প্রবলেমের যে শুরু হয় করা সম্ভব এবং আপনার জীবনটি সহজ হওয়া সম্ভব, গেট SBA লোনও মাফ হওয়া সম্ভব। কাজে আশা করি ইনফরমেশনগুলো আপনাদের কাজে লাগবে। যেখানে থাকবেন ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন, নিরাপদে থাকবেন। দেখা হবে পরবর্তী অনুষ্ঠানে। শুভরাত্রি।
TBN 24 টেলিভিশন দেখতে আজই কল করুন 7187776556। লগ ইন করুন www.totalcablebd.com।
নিউ ইয়র্ক থেকে সম্প্রচারিত TBN 24 টেলিভিশন বিশ্বজুড়ে বাঙালির কণ্ঠস্বর।